right, everybody. Welcome to the Move Podcast. Yes, for all you ladies out there, this isn't a dream. This is, in fact, yours truly introducing the podcast today. Why, you may ask? Well, it's been a very successful 24 hours for me. If you follow our Instagram feeds, Lance and I's, check out our training rides yesterday. I think I took another nudge to the top of the favorite list for the big race on the 28th. And also, I'm back picking the winners. My boy Grunewagen won today, so it's been a huge, successful 24 hours for me. And I'm happy to introduce the show. Now you guys can take over.
Lance, you want to officially start the show now?
I will. And so what just strikes me about that, other than George being right on both accounts, is that George, and I give him grief about this all the time, he will go to an envelope opening. He goes, any bike ride that wants George there, he will go. And I say, how much you getting paid?
Reach out.
He's like, nah, bro, nothing. Just good. So he's used to doing stuff for free. So the one, clearly, he didn't introduce our presenting sponsor, Patron Tequila. So that's strike one.
Strike one, okay.
Okay? So that takes away the performance up Tie-Hack yesterday. So you're out. But this show is brought to you by Patron Tequila.
Thank you, Patron.
But I thought it was amazing. I thought it was great. Anyways, talking about Stage 7 and Q Alain. Because this one is especially hard to say.
It is a tough one. Here is Alain.
I kind of want to hear this one.
Stage number 7, Belfort.
Stage 7.
2, Chalon-sur-Saône.
That's a tough
Stage
one.
number 8.
That's a tough one.
Can we play it out loud?
Yeah, I played it. The listeners heard it on
okay,
here. Let me play it in the room so you can hear it. Yeah.
Because I want to try.
Stage number 7, Belfort. 2, Chalon-sur-Saône.
Ooh,
that's
a tough one.
Merci, Alain. Anyways, these days, 143 miles, 230 kilometers, they're just boring.
Yeah,
I mean, there was literally, the aside from the sprint, which was those are always pretty exciting, and we are going to have a Holo Can for all you people that have been requesting its return. But the only two things exciting that happened was this crash with TJ Van Garderen and the split in the group after the intermediate sprint. But before we get into all this action, let's take care of a little business. Today's show is brought to you by, like it has been every day last year and every day this year, by PowerDot. They are out with the new 2.0, the most mobile eStim unit, injury prevention, injury healing, recovery device on the market. And full disclosure, we are investors in PowerDot over at Next Ventures. Don't know if that's a disclosure or an endorsement, but awfully proud of these guys. Highly mobile. Download the app. $199. Unbelievably effective. I mean, it's just. Did you lift this morning?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, so are you feeling anything?
I need a
one of these
PowerDot
days we
sent
need PowerDot. We need to have you. You're probably getting worn out, but this device is a game changer. Especially for somebody who's on the road and traveling a lot. What we need to find too is there's got to be some guys in the tour that are starting to break down. Like we had this story last year with Lawson Craddock, and this device actually got him through the Tour de France. We need to find. So if there's a lot of boys in the tour listening, if you're hurting and you need a little bit of help, give us a shout. We'll send you a PowerDot. For all our listeners, you get 20% off. Go to powerdot.com/themove. 20% off to all our listeners. Also today, brought to you by Amp Human with a new URL. The old one was Amp Human Performance. Forget that one. This is now amphuman.com. Another game changer. And again, full disclosure, another company that we have an investment in. This first lotion that they have is a sodium bicarbonate cream, which buffers lactic acid, which is the true enemy for any endurance sport. Bunch of guys in the tour are using this. Both teams in the Super Bowl used it. Both teams in the Stanley Cup used it. Some of the fastest marathon times of all time have used it. When it came across my desk, I was like, come on. This ain't working.
You were a doubter at first.
I was a doubter.
Yeah.
I was a hater.
Clearly, you forgot to rub that on yesterday morning.
You know what they say.
My favorite shot of the week so
this
far.
This is unbelievable. Amp is not paying for this. But you know what they say, George? Talk shit, eat shit. Okay, so you just wait up. We got 2 more weeks.
I know it's coming. I know it's coming.
Anyways, total game changer. And the cool thing about this company is they have the exclusive rights for non-pharmaceutical transdermal absorption, and they're working on a bunch of other great things. Also working on a new formulation for this particular cream. So go to amphuman.com, and the code, if you want a discount, is THEMOVE. All one word at amphuman.com. By the way, they're going to be in Boise this weekend.
That's
Jeff
right.
and his team. We'll see you up there, Jeff.
So George was right. You guys are over there watching it at your place,
yeah.
and is he rubbing it in pretty heavy?
We have footage of it. He's jumping around, windmill in his arm.
I'm on a roll
All
right
this
now.
stuff.
It feels good. It feels good to pick the winner.
I did not,
all
and
that
my
stuff.
pick was,
Even Johan, I'm one up on Johan now. Should start tallying up the score.
if Viviani had, and we'll get to the Holo Can in a second, but he had like 3-4 guys in front of him. I mean, he was just in the lazy boy.
Yep.
And he couldn't do it.
It
So
was that uptick at the very end that
Yeah.
it just looked like he was hitting the brakes.
Hats off to George. I mean, I wouldn't have picked Groenewegen. Yeah, but other than that, really boring.
But just before Groenewegen nipped it, were you just blown away by Caleb Ewan's speed coming around?
Well, he
Viviani?
was slingshotted off.
Yeah, we need to discuss that in the Holo Can.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, just 'cause
Save that.
That's part of my whole thing right there.
Okay, I'll save that.
Yeah.
Because you're going to do a diagram of how that
I'm going
went
to try
down?
to. I'm going to attempt to
Okay.
give it my best shot.
Okay.
You know what I do love about these boring days is that it really is an amazing opportunity. And look, it'd be impossible to sit there as Phil and Bob and talk about how do you talk through these
Yeah.
days. And so you really learn a lot about every chateau, every castle,
Yeah.
every monument. It's,
Well, also, early on, what we saw with TJ, that was a major bummer for all of us TJ fans, just seeing him crash 7K.
what, did he hit a
into the
sign
stage.
or did he hit
He hit a sign, 7K in. I'm sure it was super aggressive. And imagine just racing. It was the longest stage of the Tour de France.
Oh.
Is that correct? So he had to do another 140 miles with blood on his face and just all beat up. That's just that's a terrible way to start your day.
Apparently has an injury to the thumb as well, so he's headed to the hospital.
Yeah, hoping he's okay.
But did he finish? Is he out?
Yeah, he finished. He
So he
finished.
may show up tomorrow. We don't know yet.
Now listen,
I might guess he'll show up, but he had a tough day today.
also, I mean, we it's cool that the show's doing so well and so highly rated. We appreciate everybody listening and downloading and watching, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook, whatever you're doing. And we feel like we're big time. But when you make, by the way, Aspen, Colorado is a town in terms of voting residents, is in the small thousands. Like, it's very few people here. We have 2 newspapers
Is that right?
for this booming
That's
metropolis.
ridiculous.
So we have the Aspen Daily News, which, our ugly 3 mugs is on the cover of. Hello. All right.
We can't walk through this town anymore.
And then it'd be tough. And then we have the Aspen Times, which we didn't make the cover there, but we got a story out of that one. So we are in both papers here in the booming metropolis of Aspen, Colorado. So thanks to them for
Thank
coming
you,
down.
Aspen.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's on everybody's radar with the We Do flag that went up on the balcony.
No.
We're not supposed to talk about that.
Are we bringing that flag to Boise?
No. No.
Dave, can we bring the flag?
Oh, yeah.
I think
Let's
we
just
should
bring
the
more
flag.
stuff. That's what
It's the
Dave
flag.
wants.
I'll
Dave
carry
wants
the
to bring
flag.
more stuff.
I'll put the flag. I'll carry it.
All right, if we're not going to talk about breaking down the sprint, which I'm looking forward to George doing that with the high brew, let's talk about the intermediate sprints and how some riders got caught sleeping. today.
That happens, right? I mean, obviously they accelerate for the sprints. If there's wind, I mean, that's another all the GC guys they don't need to contest the sprints, but you have to pay attention for the splits after the sprints. And a lot of times these guys sprint and they'll look back. If they'll just keep going.
Yeah.
And you saw today with Dan Martin and Nairo Quintana caught out after a sprint. I mean, if things just go a little differently, it's seeing the douches.
You saw
Tour
a lot
de
of the
France
classics
over.
guys. Greg Van Avermaet was attacking as soon as the sprint was over.
Yeah.
And, there's no excuse for these guys like Quintana and Dan Martin being in the back, knowing there's a sprint coming, 30 kilometers left to go on the stage. You got to be up there and be paying attention.
And then the team has to send guys back, because they're essentially alone.
Yeah.
With maybe some other random dudes from other teams, but then you got to send guys back, and then it's
Just wasted energy.
Then you just have to team time trial to get back on, and they got lucky in that the group slowed down, swelled up, and
They spent as much energy coming back on as the guys actually sprinting for the bonus sprint. So it was a big mistake.
Nervous
Mistake.
moment. And Dan, by the way, Dan Martin's a heads-up bike racer.
Yeah.
He I wouldn't have guessed he'd get caught out like that, but they saved it.
And I think you had made some notes about Sagan in the intermediate sprints. Maybe
I think
he's always
George-
kind of, he's just kind of there, but not aggressively.
Yeah, he's just trying to pick
competing
up a
for
few
it.
points. He could have probably most likely won that sprint and sprinted around Cabrelli, but he's giving it 85, 90% instead of the 100% full gas sprint. keeping in mind that the actual finish line was 20 miles later, so he's clearly saving energy for the sprint, which is smart. He's just picking up as many points as he can without completely exhausting himself.
There's an intermediate sprint, 30K out, can take that much energy from you that
I mean, at
that
this
you don't
level,
recoup by the
every
finish.
little bit counts. I mean,
He's
these guys
smart.
Are thinking about the
He's
finish.
managing his efforts. He
didn't even
knows
get out of the saddle.
He knows
stayed
how
in the
many
saddle.
points he has, how many points the other guys have, how many points he needs. And also, I don't know if you saw this clip on, if that was real, that's pretty awesome. This clip on NBC of him solving the Rubik's Cube. By the way, I've never solved a Rubik's Cube.
No, I didn't see
Did
that.
it in 26 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was,
Cav can do very similar as well.
Oh, here's your
The
lover.
Cav love. I'm missing
Oh my
Cav.
goodness.
There's a lot of downtime in hotels and bike racing,
Buses.
huh? And buses.
And rides to the start and the finish. And but let's break down the sprint. I'm interested to get George's Holo Can, brought to you by Hybrid Coffee.
I did want to mention one more thing about before the sprint was I thought it was interesting what NBC did when Perino stopped and got the feedback from Sunweb, and he mentioned that they're tracking every calorie the riders are putting in. They have this special machine that in the morning they can check their actual glycogen levels in their muscles. I mean, shit, back in our day, we'd get a feedback and I'd be like, I'm so sick of this particular bar or this particular cake. We'd go around the Peloton and be like, yo, dude, you gonna trade? Like, I got this chocolate thing, and he'd have
other teams, whoever.
5-6 days into the Tour de France, you're so sick of getting the same exact thing in your feedback that you go to your boys in the Peloton and different teams and be like, start bartering for trades. That'd be kind of the highlight of my
That's what you did in
stage.
elementary school at lunch.
You didn't do it because you're always at the front, like, But I'd go back there and start, negotiating for
Who had
different
good
treats.
stuff?
Oh, everybody. I mean, it's not a matter of being good. It's just a matter of being different.
Yeah.
Because you just eat the same thing every day. So we were not tracking our calories like these guys now.
So they're literally looking at every calorie in and out.
Yeah, apparently
during the whole tour.
At least Sunweb knows exactly what food they had during the race and measures it and knows that they either expended more or less than they took in. So that's quite interesting.
That is interesting. I mean, it just goes to this idea of wearables and the way we can really track. I mean, I think in the past that's been a lot of hocus pocus, but we're getting to a place where you can accurately measure these things. Where it's again, to repeat. I mean, I think in the past you're just sort of it was sexy and fancy technology, and they told a great story, but it didn't work. Right. So now, I mean, if you can truly get to that place, that's awesome.
That'd be tough for me personally. You're at the Tour de France. You're suffering every day. I mean, the least you can do is enjoy some good food once in a while instead of having to measure and count every calorie you're putting in. I mean, mentally, I think there's something to being able to enjoy food and recover, on your own will.
Yeah, a couple more things before you do your sprint breakdown. You also had some intel on Alaphilippe.
Yeah, so Lance isn't the only one with sources inside the Peloton. I got some sources.
You have a lot more sources.
But
nobody wants to talk to me.
One of my good buddies.
I'm like Voldemort. No, nobody's talking. Everybody talks to you. Everybody loves George.
Keep them coming, guys.
George is safe.
Thank you for the tips.
Look, he's got his full body condom on. He is safe.
And Johan has a lot of sources in the Peloton too.
He's unsafe.
Somebody very close
he's
to the team there, I think, is guessing Alaphilippe will have one bad day. So they're not as confident in the podium as we were yesterday, especially seeing the power. Christian Vandervelde mentioned that yesterday's finish was kind of really suited towards Alaphilippe, which is a good point. I mean, that steep sort of Ardennes finish is suited to him. But, I mean, what he did before and being able to arrive with that kind of power, going from 1 kilometer out, God, that kind of power is a good indication of the type of shape he's in right now.
And another interesting note that came from, I don't know if you saw it, it was in a cycling publication, but they're saying that Ciccone, our leader, is a relative of Madonna.
Really?
That is her real name. I do recall that. I think it's Madonna Louise Ciccone.
That's pretty special. Yeah. You know what else I read about? And this is in fact true, is that if he doesn't go for that intermediate sprint yesterday before the finish and get the 6 seconds, then he's tied on time, and then you have to go into like totaling up stage finishes, dividing by 6, et cetera, et cetera. But which I think is awesome. But speaking of being related to people, y'all aren't going to believe who I'm related to, and neither are y'all, and neither are you, Tiffany. So I'm at this conference. This is probably 7 or 8 8 or 9 years ago, and I'm on a panel with Lonnie Ali. So and Muhammad Ali was at the conference, and unfortunately has passed a couple years ago. But so I'm on this panel with Lonnie, and there's probably 200 people in attendance, and she says, y'all want to hear something crazy? Of course, everybody's like, yeah. We're going to tell a Muhammad Ali story. We listening. Yeah. So they had donated all of his DNA, all of his stuff to science to get studied and examined because of the issues that he was having. And the doctor called Lonnie and said, "You're not going to believe who is a distant relative of Muhammad Ali, of Muhammad." And she's like, "Who?" The guy says, "Lance Armstrong."
Come on.
You think I'm gonna get on this show?
You are
talk about the greatest, the goat.
Muhammad Ali.
You think I'm gonna talk about the goat and lie?
I've heard some.
By the
shit
way, I'm
before,
done
but
lying.
This might.
And I damn sure ain't gonna lie about this. Then we'll get Lonnie on the show.
Please do.
I'm just saying.
That's unbelievable.
You're not buying it.
I mean, I'm.
Yeah,
I'm overwhelmed, and this
why
is
would
amazing.
she say that?
Yeah, Roger Staubach's my uncle.
Why would she say that? I think that is the coolest.
Yeah, that is.
So that's why. That's why you should settle down in all this trash talk, because that kind of shit. Ali loved that, and I love that.
There's few things that I contribute to my friends. I try to make them better. This is a goal of mine throughout life, and all of my friends try to make them better. So I'm trying to make you better.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
While you guys are going back and forth, how was the training ride yesterday as we lead up to you guys racing on the last day?
Super fun. He took me up this really steep climb. Like I said, check out our Insta feeds.
What is happening?
There's been very few moments in our history, 30-year plus history, that I've seen this man buckled over like this.
I'm
very fortunate that I was able to capture these moments.
I don't deserve this.
For those just listening to the podcast, we're showing photos of Lance during the ride and post-ride, just laid out.
That was gold. The second one wasn't post-ride. That was when I finally made it to the top.
No.
You still had to go down.
Yeah. and I had to take my shirt off because I was just so tapped, and I had to cover myself up because I'm not there yet. I'm not ready. I'm not in fighting shape yet. So I had to cover up the muffin top a little bit. So I knew George would be taking pictures.
So your confidence is high in the Hincapie camp?
Like I said, I'm just poking the bear. I'm just trying to get the man riled up, get him ready, motivated for our big race.
By the way, if you watched, and we are going to get to the sprint finish, the Holo Can, our version of it at least. But if you are following our socials, George had fun with that. But I too have sources within the Hincapie family, and one of which is Melanie Hincapie, George's wife.
Oh no, you're not pulling this.
Oh no, and so I don't. We don't even have to put it up. But
Melanie, you got the couch.
So
tonight.
he sleeps. He takes a nap 90 minutes a day. Okay,
90 minutes.
Hang on.
Really?
I get
this
home.
is like the Muhammad Ali story.
Chill. I get home. I play with my kids. I go play golf. I work. I take calls. I return emails. Mm-hmm. Some bitch sleeps, and his wife caught him sleeping.
She did catch me.
Dead busted.
It was a 20-minute
Melanie,
nap.
thank you.
20-minute nap.
All right, let's. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't. I thought you were going to pull it up.
I don't know. We weren't. I'm not that prepared.
Thanks, guys, back there for not pulling that up.
All right, let's give us a rundown on how this sprint unfolded.
Put the mic back up here. Okay, guys, just a few short observations on today's sprint. I found it quite interesting that.
Remember, somebody noted that, or who noted they wanted to.
Oh yeah, that's right. Mike Ramos.
Mike Ramos wanted to change the direction.
Thank you very much for this heads up. We're going to try to go head on to the. Am I looking at the middle camera? Or which one am I looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because it's got the wide shot of
my observations. Which, by the way, Mike, thanks for beating me on the tennis court on my second day at altitude. I'll get you back in the next couple of weeks. I promise you that. My observations were this: was Bora, even though they're obviously very super strong team, they got one win in the tour already, are kind of on their own, doing their own little lead out. You got Jumbo doing a little lead out. This is all within 3 to 4 kilometers to go, 2 kilometers to go.
You're gonna need more cans.
I'll just put them all together. My most interesting observation, and there's a couple, was that De Kooning is just dominating right now. It reminded me, again, I know you hit me going back to the Mark Cavendish days, which I still think he's very relevant. But when we had the HCC, we had a very similar lead out where I was kind of like that 1 kilometer to 500 meters to go guy, and there's no way I wanted anything to do with them from 10 kilometers to 2 kilometers because they are crazy. They go wherever they want.
Who?
Mark Cavendish, Renshaw.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like
They're
Sagan.
quackers.
They're
They're
quackers.
quackers.
They can go anywhere. But I'm not. So I'm like, guys, I don't care what you do. I will meet up with you with 2 kilometers to go and go my own safe way. But what I found most interesting about the Koenig is 1 kilometer to go. This isn't random. This isn't luck. They are all together. Dries, how do you say his name? De Vintis, Markov, Ricci. So De Vintis, Markov, Ricci, Viviani are finally together with 1 kilometer to go. This is the perfect lead out. Viviani's got the absolute perfect lead out by a very dominant lead out team. And then we have my boy Groenewegen, which I'm happy to say I guess that he has finally recovered from his
Congratulations.
first day wreck, which these guys didn't believe me. Even Johan didn't quite think he was recovered. And Caleb Ewan, are back here. So what makes me think Groenewegen did the perfect move is you have De Vries or Davini, however you say his name.
That's okay.
Does a perfect lead
Rider
out.
number 1.
Markov drops off Ricci with about 500 meters to go. Ricci goes till about 200 meters to go. Groenewegen does not wait. He takes off with 200 meters to go. Ewan may have not been a mistake, but he stayed on the draft for just that little bit longer, even though he had a ton of power. Hits it, stays behind Viviani for that bit more. Forgot about Sagan. Sagan's in here now too, but he clearly didn't have the power today. Groenewegen does the see the douches move. Ewan waits a little bit, comes up to a very
Slingshots.
close finish. Groenewegen takes about a half a centimeter. Super powerful move. Did not wait. Did not try to stay on the wheels for a bit longer. Went on his own on the left side in the wind. Won a very impressive sprint.
Yeah, and you
There you have
you
it.
called it.
So the distance was just inches.
Oh,
And then,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you guys saw it when they showed the slow-mo replay from the side. Ewan's rear wheel came off the ground. I mean, that's probably was
There's
the
no
difference.
doubt. There's no doubt. Ewan's got a ton of power.
When
He-
does
he will
the
win a
rear wheel-
stage.
on the bike throw?
Before the throw, just as they're sprinting up, he's just torquing the bike so much his rear wheel was off the ground.
Really?
Off the ground. I'll find it and
Yeah.
show it to you
What?
later. It was
Well,
a-
his
No, it
position-
turns out is
position-
the rear wheel is the one that is propelling the bike.
Right,
Might,
I
might
think
want to
that-
keep that one on the ground.
He's
That's what
taking the
cost
Mark
him.
Cavendish sprint position to the next level. I mean, the guy's nose is on the front wheel basically. He's like a missile, super aerodynamic. Don't try this at home. This is a very difficult way to sprint. In fact, I've done it a couple times to mess with my buddies, and it's faster. But you just got to be able to perfect that technique.
All right, let's talk. But before we talk about tomorrow's stage, let's little bit more business. RoadID trivia. This one's a good one. This is mind-boggling, right? Today, with the longest stage of this year's Tour de France at 230 kilometers, this question or this trivia question is interesting. How long is the longest recorded stage in Tour de France history? Your choices: 300. These are kilometers. Thank God. 391, which is, I don't know, 240 miles. 508, which is 315 miles. 482, or 612, which is 370 miles.
Those are all terrible options.
None of those are good options, right? And so imagine those days. How boring was that? So go to roadid.com/France to answer. Sign up to win a pair of CD Shot cycling shoes, and then also sign up because one lucky winner is going to get a $10,000 shopping spree from BMC. 10 grand. Also, today's show brought to you by High Brew Coffee. We just saw the Holo Can here that George put on for us out of Austin, Texas. Cold brew for those who do. 6 different flavors. A whole new flavor here, the triple shot. Didn't work for me yesterday, guys. Sorry, High Brew, but I needed more.
Yeah.
I just simply needed more. For our listeners, go to highbrewcoffee.com to get 20% off. The code there is 20TheMove. High Brew Coffee, cold brew for those who do. Lastly, show brought to you by Roka, also out of Austin. ROKA.com. Roka.com, my favorite sunglasses out on the market these days. Started by athletes, for athletes, in Rob's garage. A bunch of great designers, bunch of great patents. Best lens I've ever ridden with. So, it also with regards to Roka, this day is not without gifts. The man over here, as right as he is,
I get more than a gift than introducing the show?
Yeah, you get
Wow.
more than that. This is your
massive.
prize for beating up on me yesterday. I know you've been. I dug in my drawer today. I know you've been. You don't like my clear Roca readers. You say they're for old men. Actually, these are for hipsters.
Little
Yeah, the
nerdy
clear-
in my opinion.
Okay.
Clear lenses
well,
are in.
this is Rob and the crew at Roca will send you whatever you want. I brought you 2 choices,
Oh,
and they both have cases. You can sort of have a tortoiseshell brown. You can look at them.
Okay,
Go
okay,
ahead. You
thank
have
you.
2 choices. You can have both of them, or a black, slightly different shape.
well, let's ask the viewers which ones look better on me.
Okay.
Tortoise shell. Whoa, is that kind of?
Well, you're not supposed to look far away. They're for reading, young man.
Tortoise shell. Oh, I think I'm gonna go with the black, but that'd be
Hang on, different
Or-
shape.
the black.
I agree. I agree with
yeah,
the
go
black.
with the black.
I agree with the
Okay,
black.
I'll go with the black.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lance.
All right, and so for our listeners, go to roca.com/themove for 20% off your first purchase. And also, I heard they just hit the shop in Austin, Mellow Johnny's, the We Do /forward/the move signature glass. So stay tuned for that.
Before we talk about tomorrow, you guys didn't really pick a Patron of the day. It was a bit of an odd day with coming down to the sprint, but surely you have one in mind.
Yeah. Bob Roll is my patron of the day because I learned so
Filling
much
all that
about
time?
the castles. No, seriously. But probably it has to be Grunewagen.
Yeah,
He's my pick because I didn't expect it and
Yeah.
crashed early on.
Yeah,
in
think
the
about-
tour, got dropped in the TTT and
Yeah.
those are blows, like mental blows.
Exactly.
You're like, dude, I'm fucked.
Yeah, being able to recover
Mentally and physically.
after yesterday's stage, after the crash, come back for the win. That's just huge. Total Patron of the day.
We still don't have a photo of Christian Vanderbilt's bouffant when he wakes
Yep.
up.
We need that.
We need that Christian, and he may not want to send it, but we're not getting it. So we're putting a little.
We will
pressure.
find
it.
We need the listener.
I might
and
be able
and
to
the
dig one
viewer.
up actually.
We need y'all to not forget.
We have intel everywhere. We will get it.
On the plane tomorrow to Boise, I'll look up some photos of Christian Vanderbilt's bouffant.
Your thoughts on
Maybe we
tomorrow's
could Google
stage?
it. My thoughts on tomorrow's stage is that
I know you were taking a close look at the finish.
it's a hard day. It's 200 kilometers. It's very lumpy. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 Category 2 climbs. 2 Category 3 climbs, and then you have a very tough, climb before the finish, just 12.5 kilometers before the finish, with sections of 2 kilometers. Averages is almost 8%, but sections of 10 plus. I'm going to call it right now. Julian Alaphilippe wants the yellow jersey back. He's going to do exactly what he did on stage 2. Carbon copy. Okay?
It's a good call.
Oh, thank you, Georges.
And you can't have the same call. No,
Tricky,
actually, you can.
in a tricky finish. I mean, look at the the final 5 kilometers looks like an intestine here. I mean, it's
I'm going to say
Tricky.
the breakaway makes it tomorrow.
Okay.
I think it's a very tough day. It's a huge commitment for De Koenig to sit on the front all day to keep it under control. I mean, I'm not saying they can do it, but they will be spending a lot of energy in doing it. My guess is a breakaway of guys that are further down in GC get away tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Any more thoughts on tomorrow?
Yeah, just this part of France, what is otherwise known as the Massif Central, is not just really lumpy and bumpy and difficult.
It's horrible.
It's the pavement. This is the slowest pavement in France, and I know that sounds silly. I mean, this is, you can go to the Tour of Switzerland and you'd lick the pavement, right? This pavement is just rough and it just doesn't roll.
It just fatigues you
I
and it's
have
slower?
PTSD from riding the Massif Central.
Really?
Working
And
for
hot.
this man. And I can explain why. Because he doesn't quite understand how difficult it is
There's
to
a lot of things
control
I don't understand.
a race in the Massif Central. I can explain why. The Massif Central is just endless amounts of ups and downs. 1 kilometer up, 1 kilometer down, 2 kilometers up, 2 kilometers, all day long. So if you're a team controlling the front for your leader, the teams that are trying to get in breakaways, what happens on those downs? They just sit behind the wheel coasting, and as soon as you get to that uphill, they come by you with momentum, and it's groups of 20, 25, 30 guys getting away. For a team controlling a race in the Massif Central is the absolute worst nightmare you can possibly have. Trust me, I've been there.
That's good to know.
So the other, and it's typically can be real. I mean, we've had days there where it's 100 degrees. I just checked the weather. It's 78 degrees for a high, so that's heat won't be an issue, I guess is what I'm saying.
No.
A couple of quick
I'm
questions.
very confident in my prediction.
Okay.
It's a good
I think they're
prediction.
both good. That makes sense, what you're talking about. The team just like, they're not going to expend all that energy.
It's a
tomorrow.
huge data control.
A couple of quick questions, and then George is going to fill us in on Boise, which we've learned to pronounce properly. That's coming up. So, hi, guys. Question for you. I have the impression that the attacks nowadays are placed later in the stage compared to when you were racing, making it pretty much boring to watch until the very end. Any thoughts or explanation on this matter? That's our regular listener, Baptiste in France.
The attacks are happening later in the stage? Is that what you said?
The attacks tend to happen later compared to when you guys were racing.
No, I wouldn't say that. It's all depending on the course, who's controlling the race, what sprinter teams are left with options. So I wouldn't say the attacks are happening any different than...
It's just a perception.
Yeah,
maybe.
it's just a perception, in my opinion.
Okay. Let me go to the next one.
Our nanny, Katie, her husband, we call him John, and they are the lucky parents of literally the cutest little baby in the world named Ruby. He just sent me from Wikipedia regarding Muhammad Ali. Okay? Listen.
Okay.
You. He, quotes Ali, was a descendant of the slaves of the antebellum South and was predominantly of African descent with smaller amounts of Irish and English family heritage. The plot thickens. My mother's maiden name is Mooneyham.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, I also was not born Lance Armstrong. I was born Lance Gunderson. So I'm going to dig in. I'm going to talk to Lonnie. Before this Tour de France is over, I'll have you an answer.
This is amazing.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you better stop
Could be
talking
huge.
shit. I will punch you straight in the nose.
Another question.
Go back to that page when you get
Oh, sorry. You see that?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. I was looking at the fines this morning after Phil mentioned fines and penalties for hand slings yesterday. It's interesting this happened the day after you guys were discussing it. Maybe some of the race organizers are listening to the podcast. I also noticed other fines for things like urinating in public.
Oh.
I thought that was just accepted, but apparently not. What are the rules on natural breaks? That's from Carrie in Allen, Texas.
So
What's going on with our screen back here?
the rules are for natural. For natural breaks are just pretty simple. Usually they just don't want you peeing in front of families,
Right, you
kids.
can't. Right, you can't.
So
Use
choose a
common
good
sense.
situation to stop and pee, like in the woods or where there's nobody around. But if you're stopping in front of a picnic, that's just not cool.
Or
Wait, no,
are,
it's not.
Are getting
It's not
pushed
cool.
in front of a picnic.
'Cause
a lot of times guys get pushed as they're, if they don't want to stop, they have a few teammates push them. But yeah, you don't want to have a family out there having a lovely Saturday picnic and you're getting pushed, and all of a sudden the kids look up and
I'm going to correct my
Mom.
statement.
what's up?
It's not cool. It's not profi, eh?
Ooh,
Which
new
some of you
t-shirt.
guys saw what I posted yesterday. That's another one of the sayings in the Peloton, which is not profi, which can mean a numerous amount of things. Whether you're eating donuts in the middle of a stage race, or you're crashing your buddy next to you, or you're trying to wear compression socks in the race. It's not profi. It's not cool. It's not what a professional cyclist should do. So that term is used very loosely amongst the Peloton.
Yeah, and we got a show tomorrow. What is happening with our screen?
This is an observation.
Has Bolchka and Hicks fallen? Are they asleep?
No. This is an observation of how much you talk with your hands.
Oh shit, they're not asleep.
So the graphic behind us now, again, if you're just listening to the podcast, is Lance with his arms flailing all the time.
Ali talked with his hands.
Yes, he did.
I'm just saying.
Yes, he did. He did. In fact, he
Just-
did.
He did.
Oh man, we almost.
Anyways, I thought there was something
almost
wrong
had
with the
high brew
screen.
all over my
I
profile.
thought there was something wrong with the screen. I was like, "What's happening?" Now I understand.
All right, tomorrow we'll be here
We're
again,
here, and then
obviously,
we-
to cover Stage 8, and then we're packing up the whole show and heading to Boise, Idaho. Why are we going there, George?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank JB, Dave, and Higgins, and of course Lance for, agreeing to come to Boise, Idaho for the Hincapie Grand Funder, our first one ever. This means a lot to me. I know you guys got to pack up all the shit, all the stuff. You got to upload the shows. There's so much that goes into this show that If you guys were to be here in the studio and can see for yourselves, it's a lot to it. So they're going to pack it all up tomorrow. They have to upload tomorrow's show, and then we're going to jump on a plane and fly to Boise, where we're going to go watch all these amazing athletes racing in the Twilight Criterium downtown Boise tomorrow night. We'll be there if you guys want to come say hi. Then we'll do the Grand Fundo on Sunday morning starting at 8 a.m. There's an 80-mile version, a 50-mile version. We're going to do – I'm trying to convince Lance to do the 80 with me. Oh, you're in for the 80?
In.
That's big. Guys, he's doing the 80.
That's a training camp, George.
We're going to try to hang in with the first guys for as long as possible.
You know what? Ali would have done the 80.
Ali's doing the 80. And we're going to finish the ride. We're going to catch up on the stage, what happened, all the events of the stage for about 35 to or 45 minutes or so.
With a special guest, too.
With a special guest, Kristen Armstrong, Olympic champion.
She's not only my ex-wife.
She's not only riding with us, but she's going to participate in the podcast as well.
Oh, cool.
And we're going to be doing it at 10 Barrel Brewery, or roughly around 2 p.m., so if anybody's out there, come check us out at 10 Barrel Brewery. We're super excited about going, and I'm super thankful to the guys to agree to go there with me.
Yep. Awesome. Another important thing is for our members with the season pass, happy hour tonight. These were fun. We did these last year, and it's literally for our members real-time questions.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you got. Nothing's off limits.
We're going to sit on the patio out here overlooking downtown Aspen, and I'll just tee up you just send your questions, and Lance and George will be
I'll be
there
making Lanceritas.
I'm having the light version of Lanceritas because I'm in training mode, so half the tequila, half of the Patron for me tonight.
And then your
last thing. Sorry, just one little thing. Mm-hmm. It's at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock Mountain Time, so that means, George, you should probably set your alarm for about 5:30. Okay, from your nap. So you get to sleep from 4 to 5:30.
And your questions and comments for this show, send them to the move@wedo.team. That's also the address for Johan, if you have any questions or comments for Johan on the additional program. The move@wedo.team.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.